Alright, so for the first time I figured I'd film basically an entire park, because I found a very peaceful place to record. I found a little stream which I might record at in a little while, but for now I figured I'd record from a higher vantage point. And of course, just as I start recording, I feel a drop of rain. But the thing is, actually, you know what? It's like 95 degrees out right now, so if it did rain, I'd welcome it. I've been kind of slow to make videos lately. Not very slow, mind. I know that some channels where videos they take like a month and a half to do. They can just go like 6 months without uploading anything, and it's not because they're not working on videos. But for me, I have to get in some kind of inspiration. That's not super hard because all I have to do really is think about things. It's just I can't just magically get inspiration for a video. I have to be thinking about it, basically an entirely new concept each time. Even for these Neo vlogs, I have to be thinking about something. And in this one, I thought I should mention something I realized about me getting inspired by videos, or getting inspired for videos. And that's that the way I mainly do it is media, more or less. TV doesn't give me that many ideas, although maybe I should do a TV talk or a TV review or something like that, because there are shows I like. But then there's the few TV shows which I actually watch, it'd just be like, oh yeah, you should see Game of Thrones. Nobody's ever told you that before. Yeah. The thing is, I've realized that especially that I pretty much take on the voice of whoever I was listening to. I was actually going to record this at the stream, but I was listening to a Bill Burke podcast, which he makes on Mondays. And then I realized when I was thinking through what I was going to say in this, that I was going to sound like Bill Burr. And the thing I like about him, but I think wouldn't fit with this channel very well, is that he does not censor himself at all, as far as I can tell. I mean, he doesn't. There's like 3 words I can think of that he doesn't say, and even those I can think of occasions where he's said them. He's just had to build up he's a comic, a comedian, so he's had to build up his crowd before he could say something like that. Anyway, so I listen to his podcast moderately often, and I realized when I was thinking about making a video that I was going to say it in Bill Burr's voice. More or less my interpretation of Bill Burr's voice anyways, and the problem with that is that the thing is, I don't know, I try to keep these in my own voice, but I realized that not only does my inspiration not just come out of thin air, the way I think about things. So I feel like I'm going to go rewatch the videos at some point, or go rewatch one of the videos at some point, and not even like one of the ones when I started this channel. When I started this channel, I had no idea what I was doing. At this point, in fact, if this channel is still active in 5 years, which I hope it will be, but if this channel is still active in 5 years, I might look back on this video and say, oh my gosh, I was a child. I had no idea how to make videos. But I might even look back on a video I made as little as like 2 weeks ago at some point and think like, oh, what was I thinking? I was entirely arrogant. And the reason that it's occurred to me just like an hour ago that like it wouldn't be. It's the fact that I'd be listening to someone making that argument or speaking in that voice, and then I'd think the thought and then go record the video. Now, I don't think I should stop doing this. I don't think I should start like delaying my video making for a day. I tried to do that with the journal at one point, where I would only write something down in it if I'd thought of it twice, like with at least an hour separating it. But the problem was I was losing a whole bunch of good thoughts, so I feel like I shouldn't do that. But I mean, occasionally I do write down the videos. But the problem with writing down the videos is I have to get myself in the mood to ramble about that, since I basically, even if I write 10 pages of notes, which thankfully hasn't happened before, but even if I wrote down 10 pages of notes, it'd still be an outline for what I should talk about. Anyways, I have to I have to not only then wait for a good time to record and a good spot, but then I also have to wait until I've gotten myself back in the mood. That happened with the religion episodes. I wrote down the ideas for all 3 religion episodes on the same day, or at least all 3 that I've made at this point, on the same day. And then I had to record them. And then I recorded the first one like a day later, as the sun was going down at this one spot. And then I had to wait like a week before I could find a good spot, and got myself back into the mindset to record those. Thankfully, at that point, I was able to record the number 2 and number 3 right next to each other. But the thing is, I realized that my voice changes based on who I listen to, but not only my voice, but what I'm thinking of, which is why I guess you could say the tone of the videos, or the tone of how I might sound completely arrogant in one series and then sound like a complete idiot in another. Or maybe I'm a complete idiot in both, but I'll sound like I don't think I'm an idiot in one and then sound very self-deprecating in the next. And that's because I might be listening to a podcast on philosophy for a little while, and then I'll want to talk about those things. But a lot of those philosophy and theology podcasts I listen to, the people giving them are very highly intellectual. In the very least, they're doctors, and most of the time, they're not doctors, but instead they're people who have actually thought about it for 10 years or whatever, or have researched these things. I should note, I don't distinguish doctors, at least unless they're medical doctors, and not even really then, having a doctorate as the highest point of intelligence. I consider it the lowest standard for being an extreme intellectual. Honestly, you could have an associate's degree in something, but if you've been thinking about it and researching it and spending time with the people who have been doing the same for 20 years, you're more intelligent than the doctor in that field for me. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch of those people, the kind of people who have been spending 20 years researching and thinking about these things, and then also spending a lot of their time being close friends with all the people who do the exact same thing. So I listen to those people talk, and then I'm like, oh, I can talk like them, or maybe I'm like that unconsciously. I'm like, oh, here's the topic. I'm going to say words, and it's going to sound like I'm smart. It doesn't come out that way, but that's what I'm at least subconsciously thinking. So it occurred to me that I was doing that, and I can't think of any good solution for doing that, except to warn you that it's going to happen. These vlogs are the only thing that I can think of that don't have a constant inspiration, but I think that, like, thinking about the philosophies, especially at this point, now that I might be able to return to some very simple concepts, although I don't think any of the episodes were really simple. But the only episode which I think was purely just me talking was the first one and the second one. And not even really the second one. I was thinking about an issue which had come up to me, and then I just thought about that. So I wasn't specifically in the tone of any podcast or author or something like that. Which I should add too. If I'm thinking about these sort of episodes, or I've written one down and I've got to record it and I'm trying to get myself in the mood for it, I might be listening to an audiobook right before it. So I might sound weird. You can't really and you can't really put it on put your finger on it. That means I've been listening to an audiobook. Right now, that would mean either Eric Flint or George R.R. Martin. But as a solid guess, there are still random books which are tossed in there. Yeah, I thought I should go over this, try to explain, like, I've noticed this happening and I can't think of any solution for it, but I thought I should talk about it anyways. So yeah. I guess it's actually, I guess it's probably a little weird at this point. But actually, you know what? There's something else I should talk about. Although it's probably just going to take a minute to explain it. But I discovered something amazing about YouTube, and that's that they have a scheduled feature. So when I upload my videos, I can just set them to be uploaded at a certain time. I haven't gone through all of the videos yet. That's the other thing. Once they're uploaded, you can still change it to re-upload itself, or at least re-release itself as public on a certain date. I have to add 3 to each of the days. It takes a little longer than you might think. I'm not exactly Albert Einstein, so it's taken me, it sounds simple and it should be simple, but it's taking me a little bit longer than it should. Either way, I have to go through them all, but then once I've done that, I'll be able to tell more or less how long my backlog goes to. And then after that, I'll be able to just, like, when I'm uploading the videos, ideally I have no backlog in terms of stuff to upload, but I usually have at least 5 videos which just need to be uploaded. But I'll be able to just add 15 days by that, and say, like, a half a month after March the 23rd, I don't know why I always go to March. Anyways, a half a month after March the 23rd is when my backlog will run out. It's not actually that far ahead of time. I think it's probably going to end up something like 2.5 months from now, because I haven't been making so many videos. I said it was going to, like, 60 days or something like that, but the problem is these days have been coming up. Yes, but that's a feature. That scheduling feature is amazing. And I maybe it's a new one, because I feel like I would have probably seen it, but, like, I don't know. I feel like an idiot. I feel like it's been there, and I just haven't, like, I just never realized how amazing it was. So yeah, and on top of that, it allows me to have a specific upload time. I didn't think midnight would be the right thing to do, so I went with 5 a.m., which is 6 a.m. sort of in the middle of North America, and I think, no, it's, I don't know. I don't know what time Google goes off of, but anyways, I aimed it for about 6:30-ish. If you're in, I don't know, what's in the middle of the country, Chicago or Denver or something like that. If you're around there, it should be about 6 o'clock, 7. So around breakfast-ish time if you're a normal person. So convincing yourself to get up and failing time for me. But anyways, I figured around that time for the middle of the country. It'll be a little later for people. I think it'll be a little later for the people in places like California, and a little earlier for the places like the East Coast. I might have switched those two, but either way, it's more or less, since, you know, I'm obviously North American. I figured for North America, uploading it before lunch would be a solid idea. And I think it does that. I don't think there's any time zone far enough away where it should be uploaded by 1 in North America. Aside from maybe like Alaska or something, which might have it uploaded like the night before, but I don't know. Or like, I mean, like the way tip of Alaska, because I know the Alaskan, I want to call it the Alaskan Peninsula for some reason, but I know, like, there's a string of islands leading from Russia to Alaska. So I'm sure if you live on that tiny little island, on the off chance you're one of the, like, 50,000 of that population, and you just happen to be watching me, this will probably upload at, like, midnight the night before or something for you. But for everybody else, it should be sometime between, midnight and lunch. So anyways, so I thought I'd go over all that. So yeah, enjoy the dogs. All right, so I suppose he's saying goodbye for us.